will happen to those kids if I tell you?
I assure you they'll be dealt with properly, but I need to hear all sides of the story.
This is regarding the short film Mom. To me, this was about two things, family and bullying, and what's most important, which can be tough when you're a teenager, right? So I really liked this. I just thought it was a nice story, a nice take on bullying. I mean, bullying's terrible and really difficult, especially when you feel like you tell somebody and it doesn't do any good, or they blame you or question you like it's your fault. And basically, to me, there was another layer of frustration because the mother didn't speak English, and I'm not sure how much. I think it was Mandarin, but it could have been another language. But I think it was Mandarin. I don't know how much the daughter knew of the language, so I think that's why she used the app on her phone. But she also looked embarrassed in the principal's office or teacher's office that her mom didn't speak English. So I really liked when they connected her and the mom in the kitchen over food, which is what she was being made fun of for, and through the app on the phone, the translation app, finding a way to connect and not to be frustrated and to still, appreciate the culture's food, even though you were just made fun of by your classmates as a teenager. So I thought it was a nice story. Again, I really love that the mother and daughter connected over the food. I liked that a lot. And I thought the camera work was good, and the sound and all of that, and the acting was good. It was a good cast, and the directing and editing were all good. So good job to you guys, and best of luck.
Mom does a great job of capturing the experience of being the child of immigrants in school, in a Western school or a predominantly white school, and feeling very othered, and the kids at school deeming your otherness as bad or as weird or as dirty or as smelly, and all of these types of things. The tolerance generally is quite low, and kids are mean. And so we see this happening to the young girl, and I was just so proud of her for not sitting down and taking it. She said something, and then she did something, and she had said, I had tried to talk to teachers before and they didn't do anything about it. And the principal was absolutely useless, and she was painting her out to be the aggressor when really she was the victim. And it was just so disappointing how the school administration decided to handle that. So you can feel how frustrated she is. And on top of that, she isn't really able to advocate for herself without her because her mom doesn't speak the language. And so there's just so many obstacles at play here, and you see her lash out at her mom, and really she just wants to fit in, right? And her circumstances and her family just make that a lot harder. But that last scene where she kind of concedes and comes to her mom and is like, I'm going to use my translation app, and we're going to sit on the floor and wash and chop vegetables. And as soon as her mom understood what happened, she was immediately on her side. And that was just so heartwarming. Yes, moms are awesome. Moms are badass, no matter where they're from, no matter what language they speak. And I really like how the credits kind of rolled and we could still just hear the chopping of the vegetables. I thought it was a really beautiful ending.
This film is called Mom. This was a very sensitive, well-done short. The cast members all performed their roles so well. The writing really displayed the pain that results from racism and bullying. You really feel for the lead in the cafeteria. The relationship between the lead and her mother was so touching by the end of the film. Excellent locations of the school and the home of the lead. This film needs to be shown at all high schools to build awareness to fight racism and bullying. Excellent work. Mom, check it out.
Hi, these are my comments on Mom. I think this is a really strong short. I think that got off to a really strong start. Really smart to start off with a question, and not just the question of the lead or of the administrator, but also there's a lot of questions in the scene themselves, like why is she in the office? Why is she covered in food? Those types of things really give the narrative a punch that makes you want to keep watching. And then, of course, the subject matter I think is really relevant and powerful, and I really enjoyed watching the lead interact with her mother. I think that the ending scene is just so sweet, and I loved how the short ended. It wasn't a storybook ending, but it was really true to life, and a really, I think, beautiful like bow to their story, as somebody, like an immigrant story, but also just something that mothers and daughters can all relate to. And I think that watching these characters kind of deal with the racism and the anti-Semitism of what it is to exist in this country and within the school system. It was handled really well, and I think that the leads, the actors, did a really great job as well.
Although a simple story, I think it was really beautifully told. Really great how the events unfolded and the characters navigated and the injustice that they face. And I think just the way everything came together within the film made the ending so slice of life, but also beautiful and satisfying. And I thought it was a very creative way to tell such a beautiful short story.
This review is for Mom. This is a very short film, but very emotional, where they showcase bullying, and that is such a pervasive behavior between teenagers or kids in general, maybe humans in general. They speak about the school principal and how they seem to don't really know how to handle this, um, placing the blame on the victim, which is also very common. And this precious relationship between mom and daughter, where the mom is clearly invested in providing for her daughter, and the school is just not taking this seriously, and somehow the daughter grows up, becomes mature when being impacted by this. And I don't think anyone should have any altercations or being bullied for any reason and whatsoever. But I think this script showcases how children can cope and just overcome this somehow. And this was amazingly scripted, and I had a great time.
While she certainly overreacted, it's understandable in a high school setting where kids are making fun of food that they don't understand. And they don't let go when you tell them to, so you gotta do something. If I was her mom, I wouldn't discipline her either. She was standing up for herself, and knowing how bullies work, it's probably not the first time these boys have picked on her, and then schools don't really do anything until a kid stands up for themselves. And then the victim is the one that gets in trouble. Her mom seems like a really sweet person. So, yeah, it could be, I could get her frustration and the teachers that mom doesn't speak English. It would be frustrating, but she still seems like a really sweet person and humorous, talking with her hand when she lifts up a knife and says those brats. It's definitely shows that she's a good mom. It's shows is a film that should be shown to kids who are being bullied, because it does say stand up for yourself. While these boys, threw something back at her, she made the first thing. She stood up for herself, which is what you're supposed to do. I know schools don't agree with that, but that's what I think. And the filmmakers clearly do as well, is stand up for yourself, and your parents will be proud of you for it. it's even if you have an overreaction to how you stand up for yourself, it's still the first step in stopping bullying. So the filmmaker showed that really well. I do love that they ended the credits on the sound of chopping and educating rather than music, which was a different take to do.